Distant Flyer here, hope you're well. Now, one of the reasons I bought the Street Triple R over the standard Street Triple model was that one of the selling features of it was that it had fully adjustable suspension. Now, I've had the bike for 3 years now, or nearly 3 years. I was lucky enough to buy it new back in July 2012. And in all that time, I've only actually adjusted the suspension once. So that turned out to be a really good buying decision. But anyway, my point is, the bike actually, as it rides at the moment, is a little bit on the harsh side for me. The bike is, I think, naturally set up to be, a great handling machine. But I'm not a particularly sporty rider. I just like riding around the countryside in a kind of docile way. So for me, I think at my age and my style of riding, I'm probably more apt to have the suspension set up for comfort rather than sporty riding. So there's a balance to be had. I don't want to obviously ruin the handling of the machine, but at the same time, a little bit more give in the suspension would be nice. So thought I'd come out for a quick ride on the bike now, just to remind myself how it feels. And on these bumpy roads, it does indeed feel harsh. And then I'll go back to the man cave and show you how I go about adjusting the suspension on these manually adjustable bikes. So stick around, stay tuned, and I'll show you how I go about adjusting the suspension on the Street Triple R. So it'll probably come as no surprise to you that I'm no expert on suspension settings. The thing is a science in itself. In fact, it's as much of an art as it is a science, but certainly there are experts just in suspension setup. You go to any race meeting or whatever, there's a lot of time and energy spent on getting exactly the right setup. And really, if you want to do it properly, then you need to know what your weight is, you need to understand what the sag values are for your particular bike, both static and when loaded, and so on. So there is some science if you want to go into it, but I'm not going to go that far. I'm just Billy Amateur in the garage messing around. Now, I mentioned before that I have made one set of adjustments on here once before, and I think the key to all this stuff is that if you're going to do this as an amateur and not do it scientifically, then you've got to make notes of what you do, because if it's very easy to mess up your suspension completely when you're doing this game. So make notes of how many adjustments you make on the bike is my advice. In fact, what I've done, I've stuck up the masking tape on the wall with the setting adjustments that I made before, and then when I make the changes today, I'll just make another note and stick it on the wall. So as long as you do that and you can return it back to stock, then you can't really come to any harm. So let me show you how you go about adjusting the suspension on the Street Triple. So on the Street Triple, there's a number of adjusters that are available to you, or on the Street Triple R, I should say. You've got the two adjusters here on the yoke, which hopefully you can see in blue. There's another two adjusters down near the axle, one on this side, one on the other side, and also there's an adjuster at the back. So we're going to make the 5 adjustments today, just with the screwdriver on those adjusters. We're not going to do anything with the preload, which is the big spring at the back, if you like. So we'll start with the most straightforward, if you like, most accessible of the adjusters. These are the ones on the yoke. Hopefully you can see we've got two here underneath these blue anodised parts. These are the adjustments for the suspension there. If we just zoom in on that one, we'll do that first. So hopefully you can see with the picture there that in fact it's clearly marked with an H and an S, so you know which way to turn it for either harder or softer. And these things, as you adjust them, they actually make a click, which you can physically feel with the screwdriver and sometimes hear as well. And they have about a total on the Street Triple of between 12 and 16 clicks from one end of the thread to the other. So you know that if you're doing kind of 8, you're kind of maxing out one way or the other. So you only need to move it a click or two to make an adjustment. So in this case, I'm just going to do 2 clicks on each adjuster towards the soft. So here we go. 1, 2. So that was 2 clicks, and it was basically half a turn. So I'll do the same on the other one now. Okay, so the other top of yoke adjuster is here. They're a bit of a nuisance to get the screwdriver into, actually. They're in a really difficult position to get at, which is a nuisance. So another 2 clicks towards the soft here. So that's 1, 2. Hope you heard that. So it's about half a turn for 2 clicks. Okay, and now down on the front wheel here, this is the one that adjusts the compression. There's one on the other side as well. I'll just show you this side because it's both the same. But again, it's marked actually compression, and H and S again. So 2 clicks towards soft. 1, 2. So exactly half a turn for 2 clicks again. I'll do the other side and then I'll show you the back. Okay, so here we are at the back of the bike, and the adjuster for this one, hopefully you can see it again on the blue anodised part here. Again, marked hard and soft. So just 2 clicks towards the soft. He says, trying to look for where it says soft, that way, anti-clockwise. That's 1, 2. 2 clicks again, another quarter turn. So I mentioned I wasn't going to adjust the springs at the back, and what I mean here is the preload. So you can see here we've got this is the main suspension spring at the back, and these are the adjusters that adjust the preload. I don't have a problem with this. This mainly, again, it does affect, of course, stiffness and softness, but also it affects ride height as well. So I'm not going to fiddle with these, but if you did want to adjust those, you can use the tool that came with the bike and just loosen off that collar a couple of turns and then wind on a couple of threads. And again, just count what you've done and make a note of it. So there we go, that's basically it at its most basic form. That's how you go about adjusting the suspension on the Street Triple R. As I say, there is a science involved in it and a bit of art as well. Be very careful that you record what we've done so you can put it back to stock if you need to do. So that's what I'm going to do now, just write on a piece of tape, stick on the wall here in the workshop what I've done so I can return it if it's all horrible. So I'm going to do that and then take the bike out for a ride again, see how she feels. So stick around, let's see how she feels after the adjustments. So here we are again out on the bike, having adjusted the suspension, and I have to say there is a noticeable difference, and it's a positive difference, I'm glad to say. The bike, I'm on similarly bumpy roads as before. In fact, this one's even a little bit more bumpy. The bike is much softer. Well, I say much softer. It's still got the same sort of character in terms of its handling ability. It's still a sharp little bike, but it's just taken the edge off it. Instead of every time I go over a bump, it feels like the bike wants to throw me off the seat as it did before. It's just taken the edge off that off those bumps. So really pleased with that. So as I said, there is a lot of science and art involved in adjusting suspension. It's not something really for amateurs to get deep into, but if your bike has the capability for adjustment, makes it simple, as in the case of the Street Triple R with those simple adjusters, then as long as you make a note of what you're doing and can return the bike back to stock, you can't really do any harm. So I would encourage you to have a go at that. I mean, if it feels worse, you just put it back to how it was before. But in this case, on this Street Triple R, on this day, with this weight, with this rider, I'd say that was a success. So that was quite a good, easy little mod. Quite enjoyed doing that. Anyway, hope that was of some interest to you, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Listen and Fly. Cheerio.